What's good, fam? Welcome back to another episode of This Ain't Your Ordinary Podcast with your girl, Sharissa G. It's been a hot minute, man. It's definitely been, damn, my teeth look bright. Anyways, it's been a hot minute. How are y'all doing? How was your holiday season? January came and left. Yeah, I've missed you guys. I've missed talking to you guys. We got a good episode today. But I hope you guys are doing well and taking care of yourselves. Let's get into it, man. So our main segment for today. So I know that I'm a bit behind with everything that has been happening. But I'm going to have to talk about Tyre Nichols. A young Black man who was murdered by, I would say, Memphis public safety officers, not just police officers, but also EMTs were involved in his murder. That's how I think it should be framed. I did not watch the video. There is a video of him being beaten, and he died from the injuries he sustained in that, I don't know, brutalizing moment. There's a video out. I did not watch it. I have no intentions of watching it. This is like a side tangent, but I'm kind of tired of having to watch people of any race, of any belief, of anything. I don't want to see people be murdered. I don't know. Maybe that's just my preference. We've had too many of these instances in the last few years, and this is unfortunately becoming normalized, and I don't think that's a good thing. So I'm trying my best to just stay away from letting those things enter my mind. And there's been great coverage, a lot of coverage on this incident, on the participants who were involved in this murder. And so I'm not really going to redo what's already out there. You can go on Google, go on YouTube, you'll see all the videos. But I do want to note that as of right now, they say 7 officers, I believe, were either charged or disciplined, potentially more. I'm just learning that today. Potentially more officers may have been involved in some form, even though I believe there was only, I think, 5 to 7 on the scene, and I believe 2 EMTs were fired. And okay, this is, it's sad to be back in this position again, to be having this conversation again, to have to discuss this again. But one thing we cannot stop doing is having conversations. But maybe it's time to have, especially when it comes to the police and public safety officers, maybe we need to begin having a more nuanced conversation. There is a large racial aspect that is actively in play when it comes to public safety officers and citizens, right? Like that racial discrimination is not a myth, it's not a conspiracy. That active bias interferes with police officers' ability to serve the community they swore they would serve. That is true. But I'm not going to focus on the racial aspect because, 1, that has been greatly covered, and 2, majority of the officers involved in this were Black. All right. What I do want to discuss is what I would consider a cult-like behavior that is historically seen through public safety officers. And I'm saying public safety because I'm not just going to speak about the police officers involved. I'm going to speak about the EMTs involved who failed to serve this young man and participated in murdering him. That's just a fact. And the details of, you have to really Google it for yourself. The details of this entire situation is disgusting, man. It's disgusting. And in researching it for myself, I saw how big the EMTs played a role in this. Not only the delay the officers took between beating this man basically to his death and calling the EMTs, the EMTs coming and not serving this young man immediately and doing their job. And had they done their job, this young man may have lived. And these are the public safety officers and units we're supposed to trust in America. Yes, there's a huge racial aspect to it. And it's all connected, I'm sure. But this cult-like behavior that's like this good old boys club, and this brotherhood, this fraternity, this lack of accountability because you're my brother or you're my sister and we stick together no matter what. So if I do something illegal, if I do something that harms the community we're supposed to be serving, I'm not going to snitch on you because you're my bro. These officers had body cams, and I don't know if it was arrogance, confidence, or both. That did nothing. That meant nothing. It was probably years ago when body cams weren't as prominent, and people are, like, we need body cams. We need to see what's going on in these interactions. Police officers and they don't care, bro. They do not care. And I think it's because they have a confidence in their brotherhood that they're going to get away with this. And in researching this, so much information came through. And it seems like these officers who are part of some special officer unit that's meant to crack down on certain types of crime in Memphis, this is not the first time that they've pulled over someone for a simple traffic citation and it's led to an abuse of power. There goes that confidence. That's why I don't even think it's arrogance. There goes that confidence because they did it before, and what? They're still employed, right? They're still employed. And I understand grace. Oh, grace is amazing. But in certain industries, grace should be limited, extremely limited. If you have a history and a pattern, which they did, Tyre Nichols was not the first Black young man who they pulled over for no reason. I think he's the first or one of the few where it led to a death. But they've done this before. There are living victims of this unit who are speaking to the news and speaking out saying, yeah, they pulled me over for no reason. I mean, thank God I'm alive. But how that incident with Tyre Nichols went down, that's how mine went down too. So you have officers who historically have done this. We all know about it, and yet they're still employed? Where they do that at? And that's the confidence these officers have to know. You don't think they have body cams in those incidents too? These officers are so confident that their brotherhood, their fraternity got their back. So they're walking around. They're walking around feeling like God Almighty. I got all the power in the world. I got this weapon on my side. I could take, and they're not even using the gun, right? They're using batons, using their fists, kicking somebody. I mean, at this point, this is not even a segment of hope. This is just a segment of just disgust. And the power that these officers are just drunk on is sickening. There's no accountability here, because it's really officers that have to hold officers accountable at this point. They have a board, I believe, in Memphis that's supposed to be watching over officers, and clearly, again, like most of these incidents that we see on the news are typically a culmination of bad behaviors that went unchecked. And now we're seeing the worst possible result of unchecked behaviors. These things aren't new to the people in the community, and it's unfortunate because, and you know what, let me touch on the EMTs too, because they are like, getting away with so much. Again, a huge racial aspect. Let's just call it racial discrimination when it comes to EMTs serving minority communities. That's just a fact. Like, go Google it for yourself. Statistically, that is a fact. All right, cool. But it's also the same and it's the same type of brotherhood, fraternity. They know the officers, everyone's cool. Oh, you beat someone almost to his death? Let me treat him with the same type of hate and disgust. Let me not do my job, right? On camera. I am seen not doing my job. You think that's the first time? I was researching just EMT stuff in general. There was another incident, I think it was in January or December, I can't remember, where a young Black man, I think he had a mental illness, I'm unsure, but like he was in need of medical attention. The EMTs came, and I think the young man was struggling to breathe, and they just shoved him into the stretcher face first, and he died. They murdered him. Like, let's call a thing, not mouth. They murdered this man. EMTs. Okay, so now we have police officers who are brutalizing citizens, and then the EMTs are essentially condoning it and participating in it, because in my opinion, everybody involved should be charged for murder. I don't care. Everybody should be charged for murder, because you were all active participants in this. They beat this man and you left him for dead, basically. And he died from injuries that maybe you could have helped in the moment had you not delayed. So EMTs are getting away with this. And I think there needs to be a bit more coverage on EMTs and their inability to serve communities. And especially I want to know the statistics on when police brutality happens. I think this happens often. When police brutality occurs, the EMT's response, not just the response time, which is an issue, their response to the citizen who needs medical attention. That's what they are. They're not a suspect. They're a citizen who is in need of medical attention, and your job is to serve that citizen. And too often, you let people die. You kill them. Literally, you kill them. And it's sickening. It's sickening. And it's just a cult-like behavior, and there's just a perpetuating of this thing. And laws are great, boards are great, but I think what we're realizing is you can there's a George Floyd Act or law. I think they're trying to pass something like that. But the aspects of that law, or whatever it is, in George Floyd's honor, are in place. In this, like, it has to do with body cams, it has to do with like use of police, something like that. But those the aspects of that law are active in this case. They had body cams. They had body cams on. You know, and they didn't care. They had gotten away with it before. They probably didn't expect Tyre to die. I think they didn't expect him to die. They had gotten away with it before. And did I mention that one of the officers had the audacity to take a picture of this man as he is literally dying and send it out to people? Huh? Like, what are we talking about? Like, this is maddening. This is just maddening. And it breaks my heart, because this is beyond racial discrimination. Like, these officers are just moving in pure evil, and they're just going about this with no type of accountability, man. And the worst part is, this could have been prevented. This could have, there are people telling you that these officers, your officers, are acting out of control. But now it's too late. Now someone was murdered. Now someone was murdered by the officers you were warned of. You know, and it's sickening. And, you know, at this point, what do you do? If I'm in need of medical attention, the issue is, if I call for an ambulance, the police is going to come. Like, they just come. I do this far too often with my job. I call the ambulance for clients. The police always shows up. Now, I don't know if that's their protocol. I don't know. So, like, there's no separating the two sometimes, right? So now I'm scared of the police. What if the police act a fool? What if I got an officer on a, God forbid, he has a bad day or she has a bad day? No such thing like self-control, right? And God forbid I have an EMT that don't like me or an EMT that feels some type of way. Can I die? Like, en route to the hospital, can I die? Like, could the EMT refuse to give me oxygen when they know I'm in need of oxygen? Yes. So what do I do? Do I risk it? Do I drive myself? Like we live in a society where we are in a position where we are afraid to rely on public safety officers. That's where we're at. Imagine me having to go to the doctor like, man, I need a checkup, but damn, I can't trust doctors. And that's a real thing too. Can't trust doctors. Damn, I don't really know. Like, this doctor might do something illegal. This doctor might give me medication to poison me. Like, I don't know if we think about it in that way, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing, you know, and there will never be trust. This is deeper than racial discrimination. Racial discrimination is prominent, but this cult behavior, I think, encourages the racial discrimination. Like, you see someone be racist or biased or biased long before they reach the streets. That's not something you just saw, but no one wants to speak up because you my bro, you my sis, we in the brotherhood. Like, nah, bro, but also we're here to serve the community. That means everyone in the community. And also, we're not supposed to discriminate in terms of our service. And also, we're not supposed to beat up and brutalize citizens. You know, like, that is the issue. And again, this brotherhood is so protective. It's cult-like. It is a cult. It is a cult. And God forbid you are the person who reports another officer. How does that end for you? Because you are assuredly in the minority. Oh, assuredly. Why? You don't snitch on your family. That, like, it's given like Fast and Furious, like, we're family. Like, like, this is what, and this mentality allows biased and just simply bad-minded and just bad people to enter these services and to mask as, you know, officers and EMTs, and they're just bad people. They're not just biased, they're bad people. And this allows them to go into communities and terror. These are the terrorists. No, it's not the people overseas. It's the people in your community. These are active terrorists who actively terrorize communities. And it goes unchecked because no one wants to speak up. And when you do speak up, there's the cover of all these different things. These aren't conspiracies, man. These are facts. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this is not a segment of hope. This is just a segment of disgust, really, because I'm tired of these conversations, and it really does bring into question what does reform look like? And is reform possible? Is reform possible if the police is a cult, and within that cult, you can't snitch on each other? Like, where's the inner accountability? You can only, if you're an outside agency checking in on the police, you can only, you know, manage what you know. If they ensure that you don't get certain information, if they, you know, cut up footage, if they do all these different things, you can't hold them accountable as much as they can hold themselves accountable. And they're not going to be that open and transparent with you. So really, where does reform come? And this is my last thing. I feel like, again, it all stems from the foundation of what the police originally was, right? And this is not an agency, the police, the EMTs, all these different agencies. These are not agencies that I feel like are founded on integrity. That's not a core value, man. And I don't think it ever has been. So because integrity and honesty and fidelity, all these nice words that build your character, because these are now foundational to the police units and to EMTs, you have all these things going on, because what is the police based on, really? What are your values, really? You know, so I don't know. If you're not founded and rooted in integrity, you're going to have dishonest and and disgusting behavior just like this. You're going to have that because that's your what's your foundation is shaky, it's sandy, it's not built on anything wholesome and healthy. So now police officers have to defend themselves. Well, oh, there are some good police officers and there are some bad ones, and we don't know who's who. Like, you are gonna label yourself good cop, bad cop, in between, depends on the day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, imagine having to say there are good doctors and bad doctors, right? Like, just imagine that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That, like, I don't know. That just got me riled up. Like, it's because it's, what am I supposed to do? Oh, they're a good dentist. And honestly, you have to kind of do that too. Like, but I'm not really gonna go there. But that's to like a lesser degree. But you kind of like, you know, like, oh, they're a good doctor. Go to that doctor. He might be a little racist. He might be a little shady. So, yeah. Yes, it's a terrible situation. And Tyre Nichols is just one of, you know, multiple young Black men who, you know, were at the mercy of just simply bad people, bad cops who are also Black, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know where it ends. I don't know when it ends. Hopefully we have less and less of these conversations. Hopefully, but I don't know. Yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Anyway, moving on to the next segment. Let me get this off my chest. From one thing to the next, right? I don't know, my mic is acting weird, but I know y'all can hear me though, so it's all right. So I'm in school, right? And the semester just started like 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I'm in one of my classes, and I'm just gonna do my best not to name classes or name people. I should have went over this before, right? But I didn't. So hopefully I don't say, you know, her real name. And in one of our classes, you know, I forgot what we were discussing. We were like in breakout groups, and we were talking about something race. Oh, how to have racial conversations, like, you know, how between, you know, white people, Black people, how to have that in a healthy way, right? That was the conversation. So we broke out, and then when you're in breakout groups, you come back and you report basically back from what you discussed in that breakout session. So one of my white classmates reported on behalf of her group. And I'm not even going to touch on everything else that she said that was incorrect and probably biased. To wrap up her spiel, she said, like, you know, in England, she's English, and so in England we basically don't deal with all this. Like, I grew up never having to deal with race, and, you know, I really feel like we don't need to talk about this. Like, I don't think there's a point. Yeah, so I think we could stop with like these racial conversations. I don't think it's necessary. That's not verbatim, but that is a summary and in essence what it is. She said. So you know your girl was in the comments like, what? No, I wasn't coming for her, but I was kind of trying to expose her. Like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, you're from England. What? You don't and then get it, you're a white woman, so there is a bubble there, but like, you don't think y'all got racism over there? And we should do what? You know? So I didn't really see any bashing in the comments from but I was focused on my comments, but I'm almost sure there's really like 3 Black people in the class. my school is predominantly white. So there's like 3 Black people in the class. So the other 2 girls, I don't think they were really paying attention. It was really just me in the chat. So I feel like most of the comments were like people of white or other races. I don't know. So anyway, professor is like basically because it was end of class. Professor wraps up and is like, yeah, we're gonna address this next class. And I don't know what happened in 1 week, but old girl didn't come back to class. Old girl dropped the class. I said, what? What happened? You. So that's what happened. So now I'm about to just give my thoughts on this real quickly. I wanted her to come back to class. I wanted to have this conversation because while I wholeheartedly disagreed with her statement, honestly, I appreciated her transparency. She had a transparency that was naive and ignorant because in the US, white people don't feel comfortable being transparent about where they're at in terms of the racial conversation. That's just not something you would hear an American white person typically say. So you had to know she was like not from US. So I appreciated her transparency and her honesty, and I wanted to have a conversation. Like, obviously here I am, like I like having conversations, and everything doesn't have to be like rah rah rah. That's not really I'm passionate, but like I also want to have a conversation to hear where you're coming from, and also what I had wanted was for her to hear where we were coming from. Well, I can't say where I was coming from, because what you're saying is harmful. Like, like I wanted to have a conversation with her, and her leaving felt crazy because what was going to happen? I don't know who hit her up during the week. It was not us. It was not us. It was not. Like I said, two of the other girls, I had to put them on next class. So I don't know who was up in her deals, like, but like it wasn't us. So I felt robbed, and I felt like that was the greater smack in the face, because we're in a social work program. You're going to work in different environments with different people, some of which will probably look different from you, and you can't have a conversation with your peers. And do you think you're going to run away from this race conversation? I don't know. I feel like that was cowardly. Like, I don't really call people cowards like that. But that felt cowardly. What did you think was going to happen? Like, I think talking to one of my friends about this, like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, did you think we was about to come and like, beat you up virtually? I don't know. Like, that feels more indicting than your statement that you made, that you ran from it and you dropped the class, complete a class that you need. And I don't know. And I also feel like the professor, I love her, and this is actually my favorite class for obvious reasons, right? But my professor, I love her, but I feel like I would have rathered us have a conversation as a class. What we did the following class, when she didn't come back, was we broke out into affinity groups based on your race, and that was fine. Like, we just, again, me and my black peers, like, we just had a conversation. But I would have rather have a conversation with the white people in my class to see, like, I mean, y'all think what she said was like irregular? Like, how do y'all really feel? Because again, a lot of y'all be hiding behind woke. And that's cute, but like, how do you really feel? Like, let's talk like from a true and honest, point of view. Let's not like hide behind, how do I say, false participation. Oh yeah, I'm for black people. Oh yeah, I want to be educated. I want to be aware of my biases. But you don't really mean that. Like, you're saying that because that's the right thing to say. But like, do you feel that way? And I feel like we were robbed of like a really great conversation. And honestly, I know some of the white people in my classes be feeling this way. I know they feel this way because it's a lot for me as a black person to have to, well, it's also different, but that to have to always sit through these type of conversations. Like, I feel like what they're saying is not like authentic sometimes. Like, I feel like they're giving us part of their truth, but not their whole truth. So it's kind of deceptive in a way, like, you're giving me some, but you're not giving me all. And you're kind of hiding behind a veil of like, oh, I stand with you, like a veil of solidarity, but like really like your heart's not in it. And that's probably why you have people who like, they go through these type of courses and these type of programs, but like there's still no heart change. Because how you go have heart change when like you never were really committed to the thing you were trying to change? You kind of just did something like as a survival mechanism, like, oh, I'm going to hide behind this solidarity train and make my way through this program, and then after this program my heart goes unmoved. Like you're yeah, just basically like survival of the most racially intelligent, maybe. Like, you know how to navigate these conversations, but really there was no inner work that was done. You just said what was best. Survival of the most adaptable. But yeah, and it also made me think of like racial reconciliation in like a different light, because what if y'all are not being honest? And I get like there are some Black people, you gotta know your audience, obviously. There are some Black people who maybe would understandably probably aren't as open to conversation as I should say, open to conversation, understanding, and you probably can't be your full authentic, here's where I'm at self. But then again, there are also, we're not all the same. I know, like, y'all be thinking we're the same, but we're not. Like, we're all like really different. Believe it or not, like we come from different places all around the world, and like we have different opinions. Believe it or not, you know what I'm saying? So I think, know your audience for sure, but then again, don't be afraid to have that conversation. Like, how are we going to ever reconcile? Like, how is there ever going to be things developed, be in between races if we all can't be honest? I feel like Black people are fully transparent on where we're at. I don't like white folks, or I do like white folks. Like, Black people are pretty straightforward with it, but it kind of feels like, and it feels like that in so many different ways. Like, I have to educate you. I have to, I'm putting it all out there, and you're not putting the same out there. Like, how is it I'm being transparent about where I'm at, but you're kind of hiding because you're scared that like I may throw a stone, but then people, and they'll say her name. People like that woman in my class will throw a stone and then run. And it's like, but why? Like, why not, have that conversation? You initiated it. Jesus, like, just give us a chance to respond. Like, okay, obviously if we curse you out, then I would probably have I probably would have left the class too if I got cursed out, but give us a chance. Like, again, what did you think would really happen? So shout out to her. I wish her the best. I actually have advising seminars with her, so I know I'm going to see her again. I'm just thinking out loud. Will I DM her on Zoom? I don't know. Probably not. I think I'll just leave her alone. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm not trying to start nothing and come off as though I'm harassing her. Like, she left the class for a reason. If she wanted to have the conversation, I'm sure she would have. But also she's just not comfortable and obviously aware of where she's at and of just her surroundings. Really, that's just a lack of awareness. Like, to think you shouldn't have a racial conversation because you're a white woman who grew up in a white bubble and feel like you never experienced racism. That alone makes me wonder, but whatever. Anyways, that's the episode, guys. That is the episode. I don't remember what number episode. Is this episode 8? 8 might be episode 8. Don't hold me to that. I can't remember, but I don't think I've said episode 8 before, so thank y'all for joining me for episode 8. Subject to change, though. Might be a different number episode. It's been a fun one. I'm really happy to be back and doing this with you guys. If you guys have any topics y'all want me to discuss or think I should go into, DM me, leave comments or whatever. Yeah, I think that's it. Anyways, y'all be well, y'all be good, y'all be healthy. Peace.